All right, everyone. My name is Carlos,
My name is Lond.
My name is Matt.
and Lon and I met when we were 14 years old, 1998, in gym class, freshman year of high school. And we talked about a lot of things, especially music, and we ended up starting a band called Antagonist. Met Matt a few years later and stole him
Mhm.
from a band, and he joined Antagonist. And 22 years later, Lon and I are still playing in Antagonist, writing, recording, playing shows when there isn't a pandemic, and trying to make content for you guys because we're old as fuck and we need to start realizing how to make more content. So what we're doing here is we're gonna try this little series where we talk about our discography, the albums that we've made over the years. From pre-production, songwriting, going to the studio, playing the songs live, and all the little things in between. And hopefully, we'll have some cool stories and uh, ridiculous facts to tell you about, and hopefully we'll have more guests too. So today we're going to talk about one of our albums called "The Architecture of Discord," and I've dubbed this series.
Oh, you have it. That's awesome.
Yeah, there it is. And I've dubbed this series. This is going to be the first episode of a series we're calling "A Stroll Down Amnesia Lane." Again, I'm Carlos. I play guitar and yell in Antagonist. Lond, who are you? What do you do?
I am the drummer. I hit things and make loud noises.
Yes. And we have our guest today. Not really a guest because he's our brother from another mother. Who are you? State your name and your reason for being here.
Matt, I played guitar and sometimes would do singing every now and then.
From when
Yeah.
to when? What year to what year? Can you remember?
Okay, so I started playing with you guys in 2002. Is that it?
Probably.
You're
Maybe
ju-
like the end of 2001.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I remember one of your first gigs being like in December, like just filling in with us or something like that.
Right.
Kind of.
See, that's crazy. You guys remember stuff like that, and I'm just like, wow, you guys have such memories. And I'm the sober one, and I don't remember anything. But that's crazy.
Yeah, the first gig was
I do remember that.
playing on bass for Marcus.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. So our first bassist, he filled in on bass for Marcus, and then we stole him from a band called Mile and Sheath.
Yep.
Yes, they were called Mile and Sheath.
hmm
The probably the worst name of all band names of all time. But yeah, we
Yeah,
stole
and
him.
then
Alex,
it was-
Alex, this guy named Alex Lopez that we've been friends for many years. He's a drummer, in case you've ever heard of him. And we stole Matt from that band, and Alex hated us for a long time for it. He would always give us crap for it. But I think he's doing just fine, so he could fuck
Yeah.
that up. So anyway, let's get to this album. So I want to talk about kind of before the album. We had already put out like a handful of demos and EPs and things like that. Some that you guys will never ever hear. Thank God, because it's horrible. They're not horrible. I'm horrible. The music is not terrible, and my voice is really bad. But and then we put out a couple of EPs that we actually were like are ones that people actually liked and were listening to. So we put out Writings on the Wall, 6 tracks, I think.
I think that, yeah, it was 6.
6 tracks. And then we put out Intended to Hurt or Wound, which is, I think, 5 tracks.
That's 5. Yeah.
And people still kind of bring those songs up from those albums or from those EPs or demos, whatever. Those famous Love Juice Labs demos, which, if in case you were there back then, Love Juice Labs was like the place to go to record like a cheap demo that sounded pretty good. So much love to Metal Dan for those.
What up?
Times. Metal Dan Ochoa, wherever he's there, he's around.
Well, that's the thing is that actually Crowbar comes from those demos.
Right. So the one song that kind of got held
Carried
over from the demos to the album to Architecture was Crowbar, but the rest were all.
Well, no, because
Oh no. Okay, explain.
I was looking through it, and like half of that album is older songs. Like,
right.
okay, yeah, you got like Even a Dying Sun. We had done previously. Remember, we recorded that at the Edwards house.
Yeah, that was kind of like a little demo. Sort of.
It was like a demo.
Edwards house.
Yeah, Robbie Edwards' brother.
Oh, Robbie Edwards. Yeah, Robbie. Yeah, but we never like released it really. We did like I guess that was like our pre-production stuff. We were doing demos.
Yeah. That was like on MySpace, you know.
Yeah. But so
then,
exactly.
Like
so
Redemption.
we recorded demos. What were you saying?
Oh, like Redemption. That was on Eschatology.
So that was another EP I was going to mention that we also put out. That was before Architecture, right? So
so that's sort of like the precursor to Architecture in a sense, because some of the songs are on that as well.
Right. So Eschatology was a good EP that sounded shitty.
Yeah.
Like the songs on there were dope, and like that snare drum was just so bad. It was like fucking Saint Anger before Saint Anger. It was just like and it wasn't Lon's fault.
It was the opposite of Saint Anger.
Yeah,
actually.
it was instead of boom, it was ping, right? And it wasn't Lon's fault. I think you had like your snare drum rim was bent, and we were kids. We didn't have money, so.
Yeah. Well, no, the thing is the snare drum kept detuning.
Ah, okay, that's
because I kept smacking it, and just.
Yeah,
I didn't know about lug locks back then, and
we couldn't really fix it. It just you could hear it. It's like shit, man. This could have been dope. But there's a few songs on there that ended up on Architecture Discord. So we're gonna get through those songs. We're gonna talk about them because I want to go like kind of song by song. But anyway, so a few of those songs came from earlier EPs, and then we put them on Architecture, which came out in 2005. Put out, yes, please. Cheers. So yeah, pre-production back then, we didn't really do much of it because we didn't. We just kind of recorded demos for ourselves.
Yeah, this is like pre-production right here.
Yeah,
right. Exactly. Boombox tapes.
Exactly, boombox tapes, and we didn't do it really to like. We just wanted to kind of hear what it sounded like. It wasn't like the way you're supposed to do pre-production, right?
No, so, we do it completely different. We're like way involved with pre-production now.
Now we are, yeah, like the way you're supposed to do it, but yeah. So that's how we did it. So we recorded it at this place called Matt. What was it called? You brought it up, and I was like, oh my god.
Where?
The studio. The album.
The wait, where? What? Huh?
Huh? So he's done. So in case you missed it, Matt is at Pee Wee's Playhouse, which means he has way better things to do than be with us. No,
and Love Juice, you mean?
Architecture Discord, where we recorded it.
Oh, where we recorded Architecture. Yeah, at freaking Orange Crush Studios.
Orange Crush Studios in the city of Orange. Scott
right there by the
behind the helm.
Yeah, we were right there by
the pond, right?
Pond, yeah.
Pond in the Grove,
right around the corner.
Yeah, so right around the corner from there, we recorded in this little studio. Scott Saletta behind the helm, and we recorded 9 songs? 9 songs, something like that.
Was it 9? Yeah, I think is 9, right?
9 tracks.
9.
So let's go through them. First track on that album is one that we still play today, and seems to be everyone's favorite song. And it's called The Nameless Shall Inherit the Earth. And it's funny you should mention, because I went to look for my old composition books. With
I remember those books.
First of all, there's my Winds of Plague sticker to keep it together. But like this one fell apart, right? But there's lyrics, and someone wrote "I love you" on the front, and it's not a girl, guaranteed. It's a dude.
Wasn't me.
But I'm looking, and the track list. Look at I would write the track listing.
Mm-hmm.
Untitled. Pureza de Sangre, Dying Sun, Seventh Vow, Crowbar, Instrumental, Self-Strangulation, Redemption, and then the long song. Whichever.
Do you remember how we came up with the name for Nameless? It was
you probably know better than I do.
I think someone wasn't there. I think we had you on the phone, but we were in the
couldn't figure out a time. We were like, I think we had already recorded it, and we still hadn't come up with a title. I think because Scott, the guy who produced it and tracked and everything, he did the artwork for the album as well. Because again,
that's right.
We were kids on a budget. We didn't, and he's like, yeah, I'll do it for you. And I think we were on the phone with him because he's like, I need to put the song title, dude, or whatever. Like whoever was doing that.
Yeah. So it was like, for some reason, we were at the studio, but you weren't there. I think you were on your way or something, and so we had you on the phone, and
I think I was like at my then girlfriend's house breaking up with her. That's that's not a lie. That might be real. That might be a real thing.
So
I'm pretty sure.
So yeah. So we had to figure out the name. So we didn't really have anything, to be honest. And I remember Scott's hopped onto his computer, and for some reason he like put in like famous like Bible verses or Bible and so we're going down the list, and then he got to and the meek shall inherit the earth, and then we kind of stopped, and we're like, the meek shall inherit the earth, and then we were like, the meek, like the weak, the no ones, the nameless, and then somehow we just came up with the nameless shall inherit the earth.
Right, because the meek shall inherit the earth is like a well-known like Bible quote, right? And but I think we didn't want it to be exactly that. It was like, that's too easy. And it was like, so the nameless, that's kind of cool. Like that's probably took a page out of the Rage Against the Machine handbook, the voice of the voiceless, the nameless, probably had some inspiration. But I gotta find it because obviously it was untitled. But then for a while we were calling it, God, I'm not gonna be able to find it. I did see it on an old set list. We called it, what did we call it, Juan?
Daga Daga Da.
That was the Daga Daga Da, and I have it. Do you have that set list?
I have a set list right here.
Oh, do you have it? Yes.
Oh, you do?
Show me.
Yeah, look at. I don't know if you can see it. Is it backwards?
No, it's got. Got Crowbar, Daga Daga Da. There it is.
Oh my God.
And look at where it is. Allen, the Allen Theater. What's the date? 12/19/04.
Yep.
Jesus look, Christ. It was. We did. That's when we did. Fucking Hostile.
Fucking Hostile. Yep. We covered Fucking Hostile. That was at the Allen Theater before the album came out, or before we did the album. Probably around
right before we recorded it.
Yeah, and because that song was, it had to have been right before we recorded it, because that song was, I think, the last song written for the album. We didn't even have a title for it. Yeah, that one and the last track were like the last, I think, that we wrote. But yeah, so that's still a song that people like, and we play live, and people seem to love it. And it was totally written about George W. Bush, and and it still kind of relates today. So isn't that funny that it still kind of works?
All the way.
Kind of sad, but it works.
Yep.
So that's that one. And as far as like the music goes, the intro, it's one of those things. I was just like, I just want to write a catchy intro, or it's guitar. I've always been about writing catchy riffs. Like I don't know how to. I'm the vocalist by default. It's not like what I chose to be. It's just like, well, someone's got to sing. So like I can do both. And so I was always, instead of writing like catchy choruses, because we didn't really ever do verse chorus verse kind of songs. We never really did. I would write catchy riffs. Those would be like our chorus, the riff, not like the actual vocals or whatever. But anyways, that's a cool riff still. It's fun. I still screw it up because I suck at sweep picking. I never got good at sweep picking. So
I remember when you showed it to me, and I was like, oh wow, like, because it's like so much hand movement.
Yeah, I guess you got to do the riff, and then you come up here, and it's like a lot of moving back and forth, all of this. But but still, like, sweep picking, I just never couldn't. I tried, and when it was a thing, when it came back like really strong sweep picking, and then I tried, and it was like, I threw it in some parts where I could do it, but like I couldn't do it like the way other bands were doing it. No way. But anyways, that's track 1.
Yeah.
Track 2. What do we got, Lon?
Pureza de Sangre.
Pureza de Sangre. Órale, pues.
De sangre.
So I had to get my chunti on because I got to remind people that I'm of brown descent, and I actually have my first tattoo that I ever got. I can't see it. It says backwards, "Pureza de Sangre," right? So that's that's my straight edge anthem, right? That was our straight edge anthem, Matt, because that's when we were.
You guys were Edge brothers,
or during those X's all over the place. Yeah, and that's the song about being edge and watching people destroy themselves with drugs and alcohol and bad things. So
that was me.
Yeah. No,
not back then. I was pretty decent back then.
You never did that. You smoking the weed is not a big thing.
I was barely even drinking back in those days too.
No, you weren't. And we had friends that were like, I'm not going to name any names, but militant straight edge friends that like ended up being wastoids. So
yeah,
there you go.
Yeah.
You wrote most of that song, right, Matt? Like riff wise, those are pretty much all your riffs.
Oh yeah, definitely.
There's maybe like, I remember I had the opening thing, and then
the outro too, for sure.
The outro. The only part I think that I didn't have that we wrote in rehearsal was the riff that you solo over. We wrote that. We came up with that part, and then I kind of came up with, because how it goes, open, first, then back to fifth. But
right. Like the main.
That's one of the few songs where I wrote most of the riffs. I don't really write whole songs.
Right. So
that's kind of why that song is just like a bunch of riffs all thrown together.
And that was like a lot of our songs back then anyways. They're like, that's a cool riff. Let's do that for a while.
Yeah,
right.
Let's go to this riff, you know? It's hard.
Like the second half of that song is basically just me trying to write Lamb of God riffs. Like the whole song.
That's it. There you go.
But yeah, like sometimes those end up being the most fun songs though, because they're just so wacky.
Yeah, they're kind of all over the place. And some of those riffs are kind of crazy, like a little unorthodox, but like pretty dope. So yeah, those are good riffs. Good song. You can see it on the Nightmare Fest DVD.
Oh yeah, that's right.
with terrible sound. God, I wish that DVD had good sound, because man,
seriously,
that was a classic performance. Not by us, but just that was a classic show.
In general,
in case you haven't seen it, go check out that Wall of Death video. That is classic. I will give us that pat on the back. That's a classic Wall of Death right there. All right, cool.
Yeah, you know what? Wait, before we go on.
No, please.
I want to say that I'm pretty sure that's the first song that I wrote a blast beat on the double kick with.
Oh, really?
I'm pretty sure, yeah, because I was listening to a bunch of the tapes from around that time when we were rehearsing. And that was around the time where I got the double kick going.
That's right, because you didn't have double kick for forever. Like
that was the first recording with the double kick.
Yeah. That's
so like
crazy.
all those songs, that was the first time I ever really got down on a double kick. Like seriously.
See, yeah, he didn't get that, and we begged him for such a long time, and he's just like, no.
It didn't like Paul help you buy the Iron Cobra or something like that, or
well, I had this other double kick for a while. Like it was kind of like a cheap one, because I remember like, you guys were bugging me to get a double kick, and I was just like, they were expensive, so I didn't really want to like invest fully if I didn't like really like it,
Right.
And so by the time I remember I was working at FedEx and Paul wanted help shipping stuff out, to bands. So I told him one time, I was like, instead of like, buying me lunch or whatever, I'm like, just buy me a double kick pedal and I'll ship for you for the next 2 months or whatever.
Dang.
Yeah, it was something like that. And Paul was that
Paul,
sounds good to me.
Our old bassist, by the way, Paul Saylor.
Yeah, yeah. So Paul actually got me the Iron Cobra, but see, I don't think I got the Iron Cobra until after this album.
Oh, it was after? Okay.
Yeah, because I know I had it, definitely had it for the album we did after.
For sure.
Mhm.
That's cool. That's a good little tidbit. I like that. Yeah. I mean, I completely forgot you didn't play double kick for years.
Yeah.
For
Yeah,
years.
this was my first time, like totally.
Yeah, you
getting
had
serious with it.
the infamous 1 foot.
Yeah,
That punk rock double kick, punk rock, one single kick, whatever the hell.
yeah, dude,
Heel
I
toe.
loved, the single kick setup, and I had just 2 cymbals for the longest time, and
Yeah, that Dave
Hi-hats.
Grohl setup, dude. That's what
You
it
know?
was. That Dave Grohl, man.
like now I got like all these weird ass cymbals and shit, like
Yeah, I know. We were basically a punk rock band that was trying to play metal. That's what it
oh yeah.
kind of was. Like we were a punk
This
rock
was
band
when we found ourselves,
that loved like Matt and I just loved Metallica. Just like we love
Yeah.
Metallica.
Yeah.
We want to play that, but we're still learning. You know?
Right.
Oh yeah. Totally.
So that's what it was. that's
I mean,
what it
I'm
was.
glad that this was our first album too, because when I listen back to the material prior, it's all good stuff, but I don't think it's as good as this group of songs. Like this was our first like really good group of songs.
Yeah. For
Yep.
sure. For
Right.
sure.
Felt like an identity with it,
Yeah, this was like us. Like, oh, this is the first one. Like this Antagonist. So before that,
Totally.
before that, we were into. I mean, at least me. Before that, the era before that was like new metal was like it, dude. That was it. And
Oh yeah.
a lot of the stuff that I wrote was that, and I loved it. And it's so funny how new metal is like making a revival now, and
Mhm.
like a lot of people don't want to admit it. Like, or a lot of people are like, oh yeah, they're ironically talk about it like it's cool,
Mhm.
like in an ironic way. But it's like, no, man, a lot of those bands were good. Fucking.
I
really
listen
good.
to some new metal shit every once in a while. It's great.
Dude, I have this whole new metal playlist on my freaking Spotify, and I jam it all the time.
Oh yeah. That's
And
like
it's
some good gym music.
They got some great music. They got some good jams, man. Some of those bands that never really like popped out, just they never like made it out like the big new metal bands did, and they're just
Oh yeah,
Right.
totally.
so good, so good. One of the best shows I've ever been to. I remember I went with you, Lon. It was Chimera was headlining, and they were still new metal, by the way, before they became cool. And then it was them, and it was Spine Shank.
Yeah.
And it was Il Nino, which I never liked Il Nino, but Il Nino played. And that band No One, remember? No One?
Oh yeah. No,
And
yeah. I remember that.
Switched is still one of my favorite
Switched.
new metal bands
Great.
ever. They had that one album, and it was so good. Every track was so good. So yeah, there you go.
See, that's the thing is like I feel like, we were definitely big fans of new metal. We can't deny that. But
Yeah.
I think we kind of tried to emulate new metal, and it just never really
It never happened.
happened.
Yeah, it never
Yeah.
happened.
not until we got to like writing, Nameless and like, actually Crowbar and like Dolores Has Pretty Eyes. Like those are
Yeah.
songs that
That
were
were
like
more-
turning points.
Well, because that's
Yeah.
when like what do they call it now? The new wave of American heavy metal they call it now. But all the metalcore bands started coming, like that whole Massachusetts, New England scene. The Kill
Right.
Switch Engages and the Unearths and the Shadows Fall, and it's like, oh, and then we were like, holy shit, like this is like what we want to sound like, but we didn't know it yet. It was
Right.
like, we were kind of sounding like that, but then once they came out, we're like, I get it. That's how you
Yeah.
play that kind of music.
They had these like intense breakdowns, but also these
Yeah.
melodies and skilled
Yeah.
playing, and it was like,
Right.
okay, cool, like I'm on board.
Yeah, and that's the thing. We always had melodic parts, like always, and that's attributed to like we loved Metallica, but we also loved like bands like Glassjaw and At the Drive-In and Poison the Well. Like, oh
Poison
my
the
god,
Well.
Opposite of December. That was like the album, right? Like we were just like, oh my god, like this is it. Like,
Yep.
'cause that
Yeah.
came out in like '99, right?
Yeah, it was 99.
Yeah.
So that was just like, oh my god. And then once that happened, we're like, breakdowns are dope. And then we're
Yeah.
like, but you could be melodic too. That's awesome.
Right.
And then that wave of bands came out. We're like, oh, see, okay, this is how you play this music now. This is really cool.
What do you say?